I was in the fourth grade when I began to hear some noises through the walls. I knew there was something out there, but I couldn't talk about it. It was a winter night. It had started with quick grumps on the ceiling across the room and was getting closer and closer. I was playing with my PlayStation upstairs. First, I was neglecting the incident, thinking probably it was a squirrel or something. But it got even more intense, and since I was alone, I thought it wasn't just a squirrel. Our house was built near the woods, so it was definitely something. I was intimidated and shocked. I felt my breath not come over, and I began to choke. My heart felt like a stone in my chest, and my mouth was completely dry. I didn't have any control over myself, so I just pulled over the blanket and shut my eyes so tight that I felt the pain in them. And my palms were sweating. Every mood inside me was out of my control. Those grumps on the walls were getting even closer and closer until they were right behind my head. I was sure it was one of those demons my brother was talking about with his friend. They were talking about an old cemetery that our house was built on many years ago. Some kind of mass grave dug for soldiers killed in the Civil War. I was thinking, probably these are one of those old people who died God knows how, but couldn't elevate to heavens for my weird reasons. I was imagining how his face might look like. For a moment, all that jazz was off inside my head and I started to listen carefully. He started coming upstairs. Every drop of his shoe on the wooden board of the stair was completely visible. I was like I was seeing him. The steps were getting closer and closer, until they reached to my room's doorstep. I was breathing heavily and pulled that blanket over my head even tighter. I heard footsteps come inside the room. I was nearly passing out when I felt a heavy thing sitting on my bed. His inhaling with that rusty chest is one of those things I'll never forget. Just like rubbing two pieces of rusted metals over each other. Suddenly, he stood up and slowly went straight toward the door. The sound of that door rushed a warm stream of blood into my veins. It was my mom come home early from the night shift. My first encounter with that weird body was so shocking. Later that night, I get down on my knees and pray so that I don't hear or feel that another time. I didn't see it with my own eyes, so at first I thought it was my older brother goofing around. I was messing around with him the night before. I took one of the gifts her girlfriend gave him, so probably he was there taking a revenge. It was probable because I didn't see him leaving the house, though I was sure he would sneak out the second Mom left the house. I couldn't sleep that night no matter how hard I tried. I couldn't tell anyone, especially my brother, because I knew he would have an excuse to bother me even more. Also, I couldn't tell my mom. She would not believe me and would get angry and upset. I was weird enough. That night hardly passed. I was looking at my brother. I was envy of him. He was sleeping and he was older. He could do things I couldn't. Also, he had this long blonde hair just like movie stars. It was almost dawn, and I was thinking about these things while I was looking out the window. The curtains were wiggling and my eyes were getting heavy. I was frightened all night, believing that thing was just an illusion. No, that wasn't an illusion. It was there, right behind me. I couldn't believe this thing was happening. Again. I could hear his breath coming from that rusty chest. It sounded like two pieces of metal rubbing on each other. Time has stopped, and I was powerless. I could sense the same feeling as last night when that thing was sitting right next to me on the bed. What he wanted to do. To kill me. I was shivering out of terror and fear. My mom woke up to go to work, and I heard her passing through the hallway and then downstairs. I wanted to shout from the top of my lungs, but I couldn't. I was praying my brother to wake up and help me some way. I was dizzy at school the next day and couldn't dice anything. I felt I was completely lost at some points. Things were so jammed up inside my head from the day before. I felt an extreme pain right behind my eyes. Anyway, I had to remain in the class. I wasn't a good student, so I had to show up to avoid hassles with the dean. My head was on the desk, and I was almost snoring when my teacher woke me up and asked me questions. That was a super awkward moment since everyone was looking at me. I was drenched with sweat and my eyes were red. I was looking like a zombie or something. My teacher told me to go out to the nurse's room so she could take a look at me. I was almost dragging myself down the hallway. My feet were feeling numb, and I was so tired I could hardly keep my eyes open. I was thinking about that bed in the nurse room, her warm smile, a blanket, or maybe a cup of warm cappuccino. What was that? Probably some girl in the class saw a cockroach or something. Cockroaches were all around recently. It was just me in the hallway, a suffocating silence, and the nurse room, which seemed to get farther and farther with each step that I take toward it. It seemed like everything was stretching. Oh my God, it isn't natural. It must be a dream. My eyes were spinning around, and I was looking at the nurse's office. Its door was open. In a way, I could see the room's side wall. I tried to keep my way into the door. I knew I would just pass out the second I walk in. I was staring at the door, praying for the nurse to walk out by chance or something. It was a shadow on the wall, visible from the open door. It wasn't a shadow of a girl. It was a big body of something. I couldn't tell it was a man or woman, but it was there, right in front of me. I was too tired to even freak out about this. So I stand right on my spot on the hallway and keep staring at the strange shadow on the wall. It seemed like a monster, but all those things on horror movies my brother used to watch on his laptop were like humans. This ain't like a human. That thing was standing there waiting for me to come into the room. I stood there. I couldn't move a muscle, since I had this weird feeling that all my veins that stops me from moving. The black shadow on the wall was even darker than mine coals. Suddenly, the stain began to grow. It got bigger and bigger. Now the whole room was completely dark, just like night sky.